let's touch a little bit upon the whole E3 thing, shall we? Because there's been a little bit of stuff around that, and also some stuff on the outsides of E3. You remember a while ago when what was it? Which company was it? It was like, give us all of your data, we'll protect it, trust me. Well, there's been a recent massive spate of hacking, including, of course, EA, which had almost all of the source code for FIFA and Frostbite stolen from them.
Oh yeah, that happened.
Like,
Yeah, but I
they
don't
can't
care
even
about
protect their
those.
own shit.
I don't care about those games. Are not very.
They're not. But they don't even have the cybersecurity to protect their own stuff.
Well,
Never mind our data.
they may have cybersecurity, but the things with those hackers is they're pretty fucking good. Like
They
they
are.
crack it open. That's like
Can't
remember
keep
when
using
they
the F word.
when
Shame.
they talked about cells and like cell phones, like it'll never be cracked. Next week, somebody cracked it because the challenge, and on top of that, there's money to be had in getting this information.
There is money. I mean, if they did actually manage to steal most of the source code for Frostbite, that's a big old scooperoonie right there.
That is pretty bad because you can sort of dissect it and then you can understand how it functions and works. But at the same time, Frostbite's really old now.
That's true.
And the question also remains is, okay, how much of it, and specifically, what about it? Because engines are big things. Did they get all of it? And what version did they get? Is that an older version or is it the newest one?
That's true. There was also, it came out that the cybersecurity breach of CD Projekt Red was much bigger than they originally said as well. Apparently, they stole quite a lot of stuff, including a lot of personal internal information as well. This is why you should never trust these companies with your data if you have any way of avoiding it, because they're bad at keeping it.
Yep.
Very bad.
Well, simply put, anything you type into a computer is at risk.
And Bethesda wants to have their own launchers up and running too. There's been some rumors around that. You saw the Starfield, to be released in November 2022. That was their grand reveal at E3, a release date for a game we still know nothing about.
That's not even the best part about E3. I believe Square Enix did was it Square Enix chat? Which one has their fucking thing was so bad that they have set their Twitter account to protect it. Like one of these companies dropped the ball so bad, people are so mad that they're now they set their fucking Twitter to protect it because they're scared. They're like, no, don't make fun of us.
That is impressive. That is very impressive. What did they do?
I don't know. I only caught a little bit of that because I was overhearing a conversation about it, and then I actually came over here because I was eating my noodles.
Lazy Kyle. I'm finding out too. Like I look into the links channel and I just see myself. You are not pulling your weight, Kyle.
I have stuff.
You,
I just didn't post it because I was at a wedding.
You're being a
here.
fat little drag, aren't you?
No, I do have some stuff. So there's other news from E3 as well, because Kibbs did do research, and he doesn't need to always post links because he's got a brain. Halo will be launching holiday season, the new Halo Infinite. Honestly, I'm not particularly excited. Most because, I don't know. The gameplay for the new Halos is actually much better than the old ones, the ones that you played. But the problem is the story is now, like, the story always had plot holes and was stupid, but now it's just retarded. And the new Cortana model looks like she's wearing like a full clothed outfit thing. And it's like, dude, Cortana never wore that stuff. Like, Cortana doesn't wear anything. It's just a fucking hologram. You remember, because you played the older Halos. Like, she's just sort of like naked. And that's just kind of how it is. But now they're changing that. So I wonder if that's for some weird artistic reason, or it's like a different version or something like that. But yeah, that comes holiday. Another game that we learned about that comes October, which Arch will be covering because we talked about this briefly, is the new Age of Empires 4 that comes this October as well. So that's the two bits of information I was able to glean out of E3 that's actually of any valuable. For any value.
It's gonna be all. And it's gonna be your fault. Now, but E3 is just it's a waste of bloody time now. Like even the corporations view it as a waste of time now. Like EA made their big announcement before the show. It's lost all significance, and it's because why would you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars probably to ship tons of computers, to ship personnel, to rent out the space at E3, which costs loads, mind you, to get all of the energy set up, the electrical outlets, etc. All of that shit to announce your game to a room full of what? Goddamn journalists? Like, they beg for access to your news anyways. They're nothing more than regurgitating mouthpieces anymore. What is the point of E3? Particularly now that it's all digital, why would you want to announce your big new game alongside everybody else's news? Why would you overshadow your own game like that?
I do not know. It's silly. I mean, hold on. EA is the same company. Are you familiar with the Titanfall 2 release?
No.
So, when Titanfall 2 was being developed and was going to be planned to be released, they put the release date somewhere, I think, in between the release of Battlefield 5, or was it Battlefield 5 at the time? Maybe it was Battlefield 1. I don't remember. One of the new Battlefield games of the time, and one of the new Call of Duty games. And so it had to compete with two other much larger shooter games. And the game
brilliant.
Did about actually the game did for being released in such an awful thing, it didn't do as poorly as I would have expected. But that's because it kind of had a little bit of a core audience already. But it absolutely screwed over the launch. And they do that kind of stuff. And I don't know why the reason is, because sometimes that stuff's internal politics. Like if you're familiar with the what's it called, Treasure Planet movie, and how that was released, and that was all internal politics of the company, other aspects trying to sabotage the 2D branch of the Disney so that the CGI branch could get more funding. So it could have been related to that. So it's always hard to tell because like we can only see the outside, we can't see the internal bits of what's going on under the hood and who's pissing and who's cornflakes. Because generally in those big places, not everybody is kumbaya. And in fact, it's kind of the opposite. There's different heads or people that have different ideas and want to push the studio in different directions. So you kind of have to just like assume that it's kind of a little bit of a shitstorm deep down under. So who knows? Maybe somebody pissed off the Battlefield guy and is like, you know what, 2042, you're gonna get fucked. Also,
Mary?
2042 hasn't been, from my look, by the way, optics wise. I don't know about your look and the people who you've seen it. I haven't seen it being received particularly well. In spite of it being received well, like on certain places, like it seems to be kind of a mixed bag.
I would say it's probably been received fairly well, considering the baggage it's dragging along with it. 2042 was announced. Its trailer is actually liked now, unlike Battlefield 5's awful fucking trailer.
Mm-hmm. It's actually got a pretty high rate, like dislike.
Mm-hmm.
I have it up right now.
I think, considering the damage that Battlefield 5 did to the franchise, and it was far more than just being gender-field either. Like, that was the beginning of it. That was the thing that really riled up a considerable portion of the fandom. And then they also delivered what was just a pretty bad game overall, that really wanted to be Call of Duty whilst being a Battlefield game, which is an awful bloody idea.
Mm-hmm.
Considering that, I think it's been received pretty damn well, everything considered. They did release the gameplay trailer today, about 4 or 5 hours ago. It's been viewed like 2 million times, 278,000 thumbs up, 4,000 thumbs down. That's good. It's great.
They have released the gameplay. Okay, that's news to me.
Yeah, you can play that in the background too.
See,
and it looks like Battlefield. There's no indication of any biological whammons running around trying to steal the show. It's all fast-paced Battlefield-y action with quad trucks running around. And for the first time in ages, too, they're actually trying to push the envelope with larger-scale battles. This is something I've been whinging about for ages now. With all of the advantages in technology, we've still got like 64-player fights. Why?
We could
And now
technically
we're
do a lot
finally
more.
moving up to like 100 people.
Oh, there's a lot of unique tools that change the gameplay in this. It seems like they're going to be pushing the environmental aspect that 4 had, which I kind of thought was cute, where you could topple
Yes,
skyscrapers. You know what?
I quite like that.
I'm
And
kind of
immediately, too,
interested. Yeah.
a lot of the game journalists whinged about it. Battlefield 6, we have climate change, but it's not political. How could they? Like, it could just be a goddamn gimmick. It could just be a bloody gameplay gimmick, and it looks like a bloody gameplay gimmick. They haven't said anything about what causes it or anything. They haven't tried to make any points about it. They haven't tried to make it a focus of the game. They seem to literally just be like, right, we want to have a gunfight in a goddamn city with glass skyscrapers as a ginormous sandstorm rages on outside. That seems to be what they want to have happen.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Spec Ops line. Like it's not really about the environmental effects or anything like that. It's just like, hey, it looks cool. And you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it looks cool. You don't need a fancy lore explanation, especially for a Battlefield game. Like let's fucking be real.
Especially for a Battlefield game, yeah. Like,
You just want
and
it
they're
to be
going to
fun.
kill. They're kicking out the campaign as well, which I think is a very good move because the campaigns in Battlefield 5
Yes.
were awful, and it's because they tried to push in their shit into it. Battlefield does not necessarily need a campaign. Now, Bad Company that needs a campaign because that's funny, but
I actually
this,
had a good one. Yeah.
yeah,
And no,
this I see no reason why this would need a campaign.
if you don't have an idea with what you want to do for the campaign, just don't bother. It's better to focus all your resources and efforts into one mechanic, because
Mhm.
like if you're just making a game, because now that all that money, you don't have to worry about like the writing, the any of that. You can put all that more into the levels and stuff. See, now I did say somewhere, I'm not sure if that's a rumor, it's only going to launch with 7 maps, but if these maps are large and they're dynamic, that could be cute enough. And I will say this, and kudos to, well, I don't know if it's kudos or more like disappointment that it took them that long. Battlefield 1 was actually not that bad. Battlefield 1 was hampered by map packs. If you're familiar with shooter games, map packs kill player bases because they force
Yes.
people to buy map packs, which divides the player base. That is a horrible, horrible practice, and especially for making a shooter game. Like that's why you notice like Halo stopped doing that recently as well, and other games also don't do that. When they introduce new maps or anything like that, it's free for everybody. Because to not make it free for everybody would mean that, well, there goes half the player base, or a third of them are going to be playing on those maps only. Well, now that's going to have longer queue times because they're going to have to wait for it to find more people to get in the next match, and it's all sorts of problems. Get rid of map packs. That's what they did with 5. That was the one good thing they did with 5. 5 was an utter disaster, pretty much on everything else.
And
So,
even if there's only 7 maps, if the 7 maps are like the stuff we see in the gameplay trailer, massive maps with towering skyscrapers, lots of different areas, lots of different scenery, lots of different stuff happening in the background, rule of cool style, like the launch of a massive rocket in the middle of the fight, you know what? I can live with 7 maps. And the thing is, too, this isn't a strategy game either, where 7 maps would not be enough for like a real-time strategy game because the tactics are often very dependent on the map in question, and it would lead to a very stale meta very quickly. In a first-person shooter, I'd rather have 7 good maps than 20 mediocre or bad maps.
yeah, honestly, just looking at the map's interesting. I like it. Like it's very stylistic, and it's not very practical. But you know what? Do you play Battlefield for practicality and like anything like that? Like I
No.
don't. I like run
And that
around
was
in a
the
big
that
battle.
was the
That's it.
error that 5 made as well. 5 was like, we're gonna take World War II seriously. Really? You're gonna take it seriously whilst the robot women are running around, are you? Okay, screw yourself.
Make up your mind. Like you have to commit. See, now you could have robot women if you wanted to, because
Yes.
it's 2042. It's like space, or well, it's not space, but it's like quasi future modernistic. So we can indulge
near
in
future.
fantasy. We can indulge in fantasy realistically, or maybe not realistically, but stylistically too. Like you can add like androids or whatever. Like doesn't matter. Who cares? Do
And
whatever.
pointedly, though, they haven't put any cyborg women. Like, I really do think that they got their little asses bitten there by the SJW nonsense. And there was also you got to remember, a massive purge within their upper ranks after the Battlefield 5 disaster as well. A lot of people lost their jobs, a lot of people resigned, a lot of people moved on, quote unquote. And now it looks like, bearing in mind, looks like, maybe we're completely wrong, but it looks like DICE is just making a goddamn Battlefield game again.
Yeah, I'm actually interested. Because before this gameplay trailer, I didn't have much interest in it, but now that I see it, like, it's got some cool stuff, like the little swing suit thing, or the, what do you call it, not the squirrel suit. And they brought back the tut-tut, and the CGI trailer made reference to the guy getting out of the ship is actually what a player did in, I believe, Battlefield 4. And so that was kind of cool that they made like an homage to the old players. Because what they're trying to do is attract people to it. I also noticed, fun fact, that Battlefield 4 on Steam, last I checked, was $10. Which kind of makes me have a scratch to pick it up again.
Scratch to pick it up again.
An itchy bit. I have an itchy bit now. It is $10.
You're English.
Look. 10 buckaroodles.
I'm optimistic. I want it to be good because I haven't played a good Battlefield game since Bloody Bad Company 2, pretty much. So I would not mind it. I would not mind it one bit.
I also wish they showed more about the ice map. That's kind of cool because you remember Tiberian Sun where tanks would sink through the ice. That'd be kind of cool if they had like a mechanic like that.
It would be. But yes, there you have it. Battlefield 2042 might actually be good, and E3 is dead. Long may it rot.
E3 was not very good. So far, it's been an absolute abysmal disaster, which is hilarious because I didn't even watch it. Because I don't waste my time with that shit. You always read the after-action report because who gives a shit? It's either gonna 90% of the stuff that's announced there isn't gonna be out until like the next week or month. Sometimes they do new release stuff, but not very often.